So I wanted to make sure to include this story to show women that even if they do end up needing another C-section, that can still be a really positive, beautiful experience. So nobody is a failure if they can't have that VBAC. So this story is about my former client, Catherine, who was pushed into having her first C-section because everybody kept telling her, you have a really big baby. This baby's going to be so huge. There's no way you'll be able to push this baby out. People totally freaked her out about it and essentially told her, you would be being so irresponsible if you don't have a C-section. She had a C-section. Her baby was 7 pounds, which is not a big baby. That is a very average size for a baby. So, and during the C-section, she said it was totally impersonal. The surgeons, the nurses, everybody was talking about their weekend plans. Catherine was barely acknowledged. And when the baby was born, the baby was taken away for 15 minutes. Catherine didn't see her baby for 15 minutes. She said the whole thing was just totally awful. So not surprisingly, she was really motivated to have a different experience the next time around. And because she could not find any VBAC supportive care providers in her area, she and her husband and her daughter, they rented an Airbnb in a city 4 hours away that had a university hospital that would support VBAC. So they were really, really committed to, having a different experience. And although Catherine was confident that she would have a VBAC, she did decide to create birth preferences both for a vaginal birth and for a gentle cesarean, in case that is what ended up needing to happen, because she wanted to make sure, look, if I do need another C-section, I don't want it to look like the first one that I had. So Catherine's labor, it started fine. She was able to labor without intervention. She didn't, initially want an epidural or Pitocin or anything. And, the care providers would come in and check on her every now and then, but nobody was pressuring her about time. Nobody said, you have a big baby. They just gave her space. And eventually she had been in labor for 16 hours. And she was thinking, oh man, I bet they're going to start pushing induction now, but nobody did. They let her keep going. At 24 hours, she still, wasn't fully dilated. She was having regular contractions, but they didn't seem to be doing much. She did decide at that point to get an epidural, to get Pitocin. Unfortunately, the Pitocin, it didn't work. She slept for a while thinking that that'll help. Cervix still wasn't dilated. Then we tried some fear release exercises, some meditation. And the last meditation I decided to do wasn't about fear release or anything like that, but I led her through a meditation that allowed her to envision how she saw the rest of her labor experience playing out. And when I brought her out of it, she was smiling and she looked so calm. And she said, I know what I need to do. I need to have another C-section. That feels right. I feel good with that. I feel like I've really put my all into having a vaginal birth, and I am okay with making this choice. And so before taking her into the OR, myself and Catherine and her husband, we went over Catherine's gentle cesarean birth preferences with the doctor. Those are the same birth preferences that you'll find in this course. And the doctor said, yeah, this all sounds great. There's no reason why we can't follow these. And so Catherine, began the C-section, and she said it was like night and day from the first experience. She said there was this atmosphere of excitement in the room. She said, even though it was this really sterile space, it felt really sacred. The nurses, the doctors, they kept talking to her about how exciting it was that she was about to meet her daughter. And her husband was excited. She felt calm. It was I'm getting goosebumps talking about this story. She just had such a beautiful C-section, and it was so healing for her to have that experience, especially after having such a traumatic C-section the first time around. So to me, this story is a great example of honoring your intuition about your birth and being okay with the idea of your intuition potentially leading you in a different direction that you thought you were going to go in. You might feel like no matter what, I'm having this feedback, and you might, and that determination is so helpful, but it's also nice to just like keep the door open for your intuition to tell you if your desire changes. If you're like, I really tried for this feedback and I feel okay with having another C-section. And I want you to know that if that's what you choose, it in no way means that you are not strong or that you failed. It just means that you are trusting your own instincts, which is such a beautiful thing to do during birth.